Yo, what's up, gamers? Aaron Shack here, and we're going to check out the 5 minutes of marathon gameplay. I've been wanting to react and go through it. I haven't watched it, but I've kind of just seen a lot of the early release footage that they've shown previously, and I mean, this is our first chance to like see some actual gameplay here. But you know, I like Bungie games. I've played Destiny for 10 plus years now. I like extraction shooters. Like, the guns look cool, I guess, but like, I'm not sold on like character design. It's a little too bright and cheery. But like, if the game is good, escape will make me god. Tau Ceti.
Is a team-based extraction shooter set around the mysterious and cutthroat world of Tau Ceti IV. You are a runner.
So we got executions. We're called runners. I don't like the level design, that it's designed to look like a game show or like a training area. Like it's like devoid of any personality, if that makes sense.
A cybernetic mercenary.
The finals did this. Rainbow Six has done this.
Synthetic shell with unique abilities and stats, capable of both tactical and fast-paced combat.
And it's a
Here
hero
you're
shooter.
fighting a crew of up to 3 players
You got abilities.
across a variety of zones and points of interest. You'll face rival runners in zones of up to 18 players, countless security forces, and otherworldly threats. To scavenge the remains of a lost colony for glory and fortune.
And we all just explode
The
into
environments
pixels.
of Tau Ceti IV are filled with weapons, materials, and equipment you can scavenge throughout the map.
I'm keen to play it.
Before deploying, you'll strategically build your loadout and select a runner to ensure you're equipped for the run ahead.
Which actually, if we think about this, it actually reminds us more of Delta Force, because Delta Force takes the extraction shooter idea, but also melds it with the idea that you're picking like a hero character with specific abilities. Something we saw in Delta Force.
Your objective is simple. Get in, gather as much loot as you can, and make it out alive.
And if this ties into Marathon, how does it
your
work?
gear will be up for grabs. Survive, and your loot can be taken into future runs as you grow in power and fill your vault.
Yeah,
Death is inevitable, but it's never the end. Think quickly on your feet and outplay your opponents, and in your next run, you and your teammates will be the ones coming out on top. And even if you're down on your luck, factions can sponsor you with a fresh loadout, so you can get right back into the fight.
Okay, so not...
Bungie...
So, okay, hang on. Let's go back here, because this is a weakness that a lot of extraction shooters have. What happens when you lose so much that you lose everything, or what happens when you go in on a geared run and you just get taken out by other players that might be better than you or better equipped than you are? Or some, maybe they just get the strategic drop on you or your team.
And even if you're down on your luck,
this is an answer to
factions can sponsor you with a fresh loadout, so you can get right back.
You can see what I mean, how it looks like a training map or something from like Halo or just other games in general. Like the finals has this kind of game show look. Rainbow Six Siege has done the thing where there's like the training arena type of game show, and even the finals feels that way. Even part of Ubisoft X Defiant kind of had the same look in its map design. So I understand this is only just one map. That's why I'm not having like a total meltdown over here. But I'm just saying some of the design looks a little uninspired, at least for this map. I'm sure there's going to be other maps. I'm sure there's even other biomes and locations, as I've said. I just can't say I'm in love with the whole look of it. But like, once again, if it's got the signature Bungie gunplay that we love, and just that feel that makes it fun to play, and then of course you have the extraction shooter style of gameplay that like never gets old, right? Because you never know what will happen. You might roll in with different gear, different friends, different perks, different characters. anything could happen. You could run into another group of friendly players. You could run into just a completely hostile environment, or you might sneak around and run into nobody and just clear out some AI, get a good haul, get out there, and come back stronger next match.
Into the fight. Bungie brings its best-in-class first-person multiplayer action to the forefront.
Right.
Dynamic and tactile gunplay, runners with unique playstyles, and customizable builds create highly dynamic.
I don't believe that right there. Let's go back.
Person multiplayer action.
So first of all, you looked at this guy and didn't shoot him. Then Rando comes out of nowhere.
And tactile gunplay.
This is very cinematic, obviously. I think they're trying to do what the Division gameplay trailer does is they show you like very idealized gameplay, so they always want to show your character doing well and winning.
Runners with unique playstyles.
And then, of course, in the bottom right corner, we see that R1 and L1 are doing different types of abilities. So, I mean, it feels like the DNA of Destiny's PvP is here.
Customizable builds create highly dynamic and strategic teamfights.
So how are customized builds going to work? That's what I'm curious about. Because for this to be fair, you have to have the appropriate amount of like tailoring and balance, whether it's the weapons, whether it's your skills. All this stuff has to be like incredibly well customized. And I think Bungie knows how hard it is to make a sandbox that's really good. They've done it several times. They've done it with Halo. They've done it with Destiny. And they continue to do it with Destiny with each passing season. Like, things have to constantly change and evolve. And you have to make changes to weapon tuning and perks and certain abilities that each of the characters have. But we only had, a couple classes and only a couple subclasses in Destiny. So how will this differ is what's interesting.
Whether you're on a zero to hero run or high rolling with powerful gear.
Now that's interesting. We didn't see that. So right here,
whether you're on a zero to hero
weather conditions. Now that could be really interesting. That could cause some very different encounters based on visibility, or maybe if there's some sort of danger element to the storms, are there meteor showers, whatever,
run or high rolling with powerful gear. You'll need to use your best judgment when you decide
third person
which
with the shield
and how. Because no matter how geared you are, players with skill and strategy will always have the edge. Marathon is designed to be played in crews, with contextual pings, shared objectives, and down but not out, to streamline playing with your friends. Death is not the end.
Okay, so
and
we
if
got
you're the last one standing, you can overcome the odds to revive your teammates and get out with your hard-earned loot. And if you believe your skills alone are enough to conquer any challenge, we give you the freedom to opt out of crew fill to take all the glory for yourself as a solo runner.
Solo runner?
Opt out of crew fill to take all the glory for yourself as a solo runner. No two runs in Marathon ever play out the same. With dynamic events, variable weather, and unpredictable players, you'll have to adapt on the fly if you want to survive.
Ooh.
Each run has a time limit, and anything can happen while you're chasing your objective. Looking to unlock upgrades or increase your faction reputation? Slip into the shadows as Void and ghost past your enemies. Search the map for rare materials and profit opportunities without being discovered. Want to push enemy teams and steal their loot? Bring in Glitch with agility implants and your strongest weapons to disrupt rival crews. Running support for your friends, grab extra equipment, shield charges, and a specialized backpack to be the lifeline they need.
Okay, be the med crew.
You're always free to experiment with team compositions, and the only limit to how you want to play your runner is your loot and imagination. Endgame challenges, ranked play, discovering secrets, seasonal storytelling, community events, and more all await you in Season 1, where you and your friends will start to unravel the mysteries of Tau Ceti IV.
Okay, so here's the interesting thing. They're learning from DMZ. I think that's what this is. I think that's the lesson. So if we go back a little bit, We see that they have the classes. We see that they want you to find secrets, learn about the overarching story, and that they're going to have seasons. So, unlike Call of Duty, where it was DMZ was a temporary experiment, Marathon is obviously its whole own game here.
You're always free to experiment with team compositions, and the only limit to how you want to play your runner is your
that
loot
sounds
and
really good.
imagination. Endgame challenges, ranked play,
So, endgame challenges, and we'll see what that means, but they've used words like pinnacle, and, you know, players from Destiny will kind of understand what that means. Like, pinnacle stuff is just specific activities that are a little more challenging, but they get you something that's really worth it. And usually pinnacle things are something that we repeat as like a weekly ritual. We can get new pinnacles, new goals, new challenges every week. So ranked play, interesting. Discovering secrets, I'm keen on that.
Seasonal storytelling, community events,
community
and
events
more
could be fun.
All await you in season.
Like, they know how to build and engage with a community. They've done it with Destiny, where they know that, you know, every time certain holidays roll around, whether it's holidays that consist in the real world or holidays that are rituals in the video game, or if it's like faction events and stuff like that, which obviously it looks like they're going to have factions in this game, which they should have kept up with in Destiny. I think that would have been better instead of just having, you know, the faction rallies where you have to compete against each other, but having actual like quest lines relating to the various factions and unlocking special faction gear. But that's neither here nor there. We could we could table that for Destiny 3 or something. But I don't know. This all sounds really good so far.
Season 1, where you and your friends will start to unravel.
But like, once again, like, the character design, the art style is not something I'm finding like super appealing. But like, I like the ideas and I like the gameplay, and I would love to like alpha test this game. I've obviously played the Destiny alpha when it first came out, and I was an early adopter, and I was like, you know, I'm not the biggest Borderlands fan, but like, okay, let's try Borderlands with like space cowboy ideas here. And then all of a sudden I was like, I think I love this game, and I love playing as the Warlock. So, you know, sometimes you can be convinced of things where you may not like the packaging. Don't judge a book by its cover, I guess. And maybe that's the lesson I'm learning right here. But yeah, I feel like this is the symptom of video games that we're in nowadays, where it's no longer about like wearing the coolest camouflage so that we can blend into the environment. It's about being the brightest and flashiest character so that we can be easier shot at.
The mysteries of Tau Ceti IV. Remember, you're only ever one run away from your next big score.
And that's what keeps you playing. Okay, so it's like you set up your own little like extraction beacon and we all vanished, I guess. I mean, it's not a bad...
Be taken into future runs as you grow in power.
It's not a bad gameplay showcase or anything. And like, I think the UI looks fine. I think everything looks good on that. I want to see how navigating this works with a controller. Because typically menus like this are going to be really great for PC gamers that can just scroll over with their mouse and quickly sort what's in a container, what's in your backpack. And that's why Tarkov, you know, kind of gives you the edge if you're a mouse and keyboard player. But I also like the idea of, you know, these different classes. I think I like Void. I think I like the idea of just vanishing. And I don't know if, you know, you're never truly invisible when they give you powers like that. And so obviously we could see like the ripples in the water or whatever. But like, how visible are you when you're invisible? You know, is it that typical Halo type of invisibility where you're a bit of a blur? Because like most of the time, I feel like any time I have those invisibility type abilities, like once people learn how to spot it, they're gonna see you so quick, and that perk will just be rendered useless. Um, and I also think that that's the coolest looking character of the characters. And some of the weapons look cool, like the rotating. Like if you look back at this gun, look at the rotating barrel on that, or look at that. Like, no, she threw like a shock stick, and then you have like this double barrel shotgun with like rectangular shells that you load in. That's some interesting stuff, and the medic has an interesting design as well. I don't know if we can go prone. I haven't seen anyone going prone. I see a lot of people like crouch walking. Yeah, it looks like when you go invisible, like there is a little bit of like a blue haze. Just a little bit of more like a transparency filter there. I don't know. It could be really fun. I went from feeling very lukewarm about this game and just like, I don't love the art style. I'm burned out on extraction shooters. Ever since DMZ and Tarkov and all these different ones, I've played a lot of them. And I'm getting a little burned out on it. So I'm not like, I wasn't like ready and willing. Yeah, so see how you can see a little bit of the transparency there. Granted, this is alpha, by the way, so I mean, this isn't like finished product or what have you. But yeah, you can see that sort of, I don't know. I feel like when players learn how to spot it, Void isn't gonna be the best pick, which is really gonna be sad. But yeah, how are we gonna sneak around when we're these bright pastel colors? Now, granted, the environment, fits that unless we're outside. But also, this reminds me of like Mirror's Edge, where it's everything is just it's a neat art style for Mirror's Edge, but like for other games, you need a little more personality, a little more going on there. So yeah, planning a claymore as the med guy, and then you have like this self-healing tool here, and then there's probably various ways that we can maybe heal the team. We obviously saw like the shield barrier that you could pull up. I think it all looks pretty exciting. I went from like lukewarm to like, wow, I actually kind of want to check this out. And I hope if there's a chance to cover this in alpha, that I'll have that opportunity to do so. It definitely looks like something I would enjoy. I think Andrew Alliance would love it too. Because we generally tend to play a lot of Destiny and flock in these Bungie circles. So, I mean, September 23rd, that's just a couple days after my birthday. My birthday is September 19th. So, let's see what we can do there. But yeah, I think Marathon looks interesting. I don't know how it ties into the main game because it doesn't look like Marathon, if that makes sense. Like I've played the originals and it doesn't have that same art style or color vibe or anything. So I'm wondering if this is kind of like kind of like how Apex Legends looks very little to nothing like Titanfall, but yet it's supposedly in the same universe. So I don't know. But anyway, gamers, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos, and stay tuned because I think we'll be covering Marathon even more as time passes. So stay tuned, take care, be safe, have a good one. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.